Let's have a look now at our layout properties in our drawing. Now, we don't need to worry about layout properties in the model tab because we're not actually working to any defined sheet size. We're doing everything full size, 1:1 in the model. However, when we start working with layouts like our GA 1:30, you'll notice that our drawing border, our title block, sits nice and neatly on that particular white sheet of paper. It's the same with the door 1:10 as well. That's because what's happened there is the layout properties have been set to fit the title block itself. If we look at a default layout, layout 1 for example, there's the sheet and the dashed lines indicate the printer limits, and there's our default viewport to no particular scale. Now if I just hit escape there for a second and deselect that viewport, what I want to be able to do is to set that so it's the same sheet size as, for example, the door 1:10 or the GA 1:30. How do I do that? Well, let's have a look at the GA 1:30. If I right click over the tab there and go to the Page Setup Manager, there's the GA 1:30 layout. It tells me that the current layout selected is GA 1:30, and those asterisks there indicate a layout, not a page setup as the dialog box says. But I can modify that. If I go to GA 1:30 there and modify, I can modify those settings in here in the page setup. So at the moment, the actual settings for that layout tab are that it will plot to a DWF, which is the Autodesk equivalent of a PDF file. The paper size is a metric ISO A3 420 by 297 millimeters. The plot area is extents, and we're centering the plot on the sheet size. So when I OK that GA 1:30, as you can see, DWF6 ePlot, it's all there, 420 by 297, and it's plotting to a file because it's a DWF file. We're not plotting to a plotter, for example. So the door 1:10, you'll notice when I select that one, the selected page setup details are the same there, as you can see. But if I go to layout 1, it's different. It's plotting to a printer, to a physical piece of paper, and it's using that plot size there, and it's a USB printer. Now, if I modify that one, you'll notice I can't modify it. Why is that? That's because nothing has been set. No viewport, no title block, or anything like that at all. So how do I modify it? Well, let's close that. Let's select layout 1, and then right click on layout 1 and go to the Page Setup Manager, and you'll notice now I can modify it. That's because it's the current layout in the Page Setup Manager. So I go to modify there, the dialog box appears. I click here and I want the DWF6 like I had in the previous two layouts. Paper size, I want the same paper size, so I scroll in the list here until I find what I want, and I want an ISO A3 420 by 297. Remember the settings, extents, and center the plot. And what I'm going to do now is click on OK and close. And I now know that layout 1 has the same settings as door 1:10 and GA 1:30. I can check that. Right click on GA 1:30, Page Setup Manager. If I select layout 1, notice the settings have now changed. They're the same as GA 1:30. There's no difference there. So that's how you change your layout properties, not your page setup properties, but your layout default properties for each layout tab.